Hi, everybody. Good to see you. This is the first video I'm making for the program at all. So we will take what we get and we will cut valiantly. The reason we're starting with chapter 7 is because cueing is, of course, essential to everything we do. That we cannot be a good yoga teacher if we clue poorly, even if we do a beautiful class, right? So I would like to bring your attention to the very first part, I believe it's the first part of chapter 7, called Cueing Pitfalls. So you're going to be submitting a lot of videos as you go along. And starting from the very beginning, we want to start making an effort to get rid of you. The possessive forms have all kinds of links to self-consciousness, power structures, and extra wording that we don't need. We want to bring the practitioner's attention to the body, because it is in the observation of the body that we are able to drop the cortisol levels, so stress hormone levels and things like that. So when we cue, we'd like to make sure we have a pristine and a kind of cueing that is impersonal, but also doesn't take the practitioner's mind off the practice because they're being irked by something. All right. Here are a few things I'd like you to really watch out for before you even begin to submit videos. Verbal tics. Now, you are doing the advanced training for 500 hours. You've been teaching a while, so you probably have verbal tics, and we all do. And we have to keep kind of getting back at them and working on them. And that's a good thing, right? But we might not even know we have verbal tics, like they tend to sneak in, and we can get rid of them in that we speak slowly. So we don't want to speak very slowly, but there are things that we can do to get rid of ums. If you're a choppy talker like I am, focusing on connecting each word to the next word is really helpful. So that has just considerably, this that I am doing now is considerably cutting back on the choppiness of my speaking. But I'm going to talk to you guys just normally because that's a little too much stress for me. Ums come when we stop and we think. So if we speak slowly, we can begin to think of the next thing that's coming up. And also we develop a verbiage that we use on certain poses and in certain situations. So we won't need ums. The word wanchita is never going to come into a class. I want you to. Any kind of I'd like you to, or want you to, I want you to become aware of, no. There is no I want. We don't want them to do a thing. All right. It's not about us. We are a channel. It's a very metaphysical moment in which we become a channel for divine light, for enlightenment, for higher levels of consciousness. It has nothing to do with us. And the ing thing, trying to avoid you will automatically bring us into possibly other tics like ing. Lifting the arm, lifting the leg, sensing the breath. That can be used. It's not a problem, but not always, because it has a grammatical place. The ing form is a gerund. I don't need to get into that. I'm an English snob. That's neither here nor there. When we use the ing, then we have to link it to something. For example, sensing the right arm rising, allow the left arm to fall. Allowing the right hand to fall, allow then, well, wait, see, now I just repeated allow. You just saw an example of something you don't really want to do. So in the beginning, I expect to see videos from you that have mistakes in them that you catch. So in other words, you are giving me your very first video of a sun salutation that I think is the thing that we assigned for this first lesson. And I will see you say, lifting the chest, dropping to forward fold, lifting the chest. Oh, I'm using INGs. Say that right to the video, because you're showing me that you have now become aware of the repeated ING. Or from Tadasana, oh, I just did an. Please be with me actively in the video. This is not your exam, right? This is your videos show me the process of your thought, okay? Overwording is a pitfall to avoid. It's a cueing pitfall where if you are a Bikram baby, then you cue everything from beginning to end and you hardly breathe. I'm one of them. It is a mammoth effort for me to remember to don't talk all the time. Sure, the first time through something on the first side, you want to give all of the safety cues, right? But trust them to do correctly on the second side or to learn that and let it go. I'm still working on it. So in my videos, you're going to see me making that mistake. Please draw that to my attention. I'd love that in your commentaries and things like that. However, you do want to bring in safety cues as much as possible. Now, in your videos coming up, come to the screen as I am right now. Look at yourself while you talk, because what will happen in a virtual lesson is that you'll be watching your people. And so while you won't have people in front of you while you're doing your things, but I'd love you to sit there and say, sense the right leg going back. Julia, please focus on dropping the left heel. You know what I mean? If I can see that you are watching your people, you don't have to make a comment about them. But if I see you in the computer like this, instead of doing it, then I know you can commentate it. Big problem. I've got it myself, right? We will learn during this training to get rid of verbal tics, repeated words, want you to, and that, or the word slowly. You don't want to always say slowly and carefully, bring the leg forward. Your voice will say that, right? Bring the leg forward. Sense the lifting of the chest. That gives slowly and carefully, right? You don't want to say it on every single thing. Beautiful, beautiful, right? You don't need to say it each time, but it is really nice to regularly hear, oh, very beautiful, very nice. It should be different each time so that I know it's not a tic. And call people's names and say, great job, Jerry. Oh, that's wonderful grounding, Sarah. When you say grounding, wonderful grounding, Sarah, then everybody's going to ground. Oh, I love your lift, Lynn. We know your people's names. Look, I'm getting into other chapters. Let's go on to the next point I'd like to make. The effects and benefits of non-possessive cueing. So the main point about non-possessive cueing and leaving out the yous, this is what this part of the chapter is about. It moves beyond the ego. So we ourselves as teachers, when we say you, we are in a power position. We don't want to get rid of them all, okay? I'm not talking about never saying a you. And in your breathing exercises in the beginning, you will say yous because we are very, very personally involved with them, but let them fade. Even immediately in the first breathing pranayama exercise in the beginning, let the yous fade away. The breath comes into the lower back, and the breath goes out of the nose. They will not notice that you're not saying you, I promise. So whenever someone has overcome the yous in their practice, it is never obvious. However, you don't have to avoid the. I had a student who thought you couldn't say the. That's fine, and you'll find ways of doing it. Observe is a good way. It's all in the chapter. Ownership. There is something about you that has ownership, that has possessiveness, right? That is material, right? And is self-image. We just want to not even go there, right? In your training of teachers, you will, because it is a very intimate and the you has nothing to do with when you're training the teachers. It only has to do when you're cueing a class or cueing a movement. I do encourage everybody to be yourself, and some teachers are just naturally funny. I don't think there's ever a class that you shouldn't let your natural funny come through. One of my sayings is there is no situation too holy for laughter. We don't want to be funny at the expense of anybody unless we have a fellow teacher in the class and they're okay with it. You can call them out and it works beautifully. We can always call ourselves out and be funny about ourselves. Let us move toward the metaphysical by simply helping the student in their practice focus on the body. Even though that seems counterintuitive, when we're focusing on the body, we're not focusing on, oh, I'm so fat. It's about what the pose is doing to me. It's about focus going from the fact that I am here and I've got a lot of stuff in my mind. And you can certainly tell people, let's empty the mind in the beginning of the class, but you don't have to keep repeating it if you're cueing just to the sensations of the body, the movement of the pose, the trajectory of the energy, the breath going in the nose into the lower back, and the in and out. You can cue in breath, out breath the whole time. I admire teachers who can have quiet in their classes. Cue as much as you can the benefits of the pose. Not you don't need all the benefits. Every pose has infinite benefits. But if you can't think of a benefit of a pose, make one up, because the body and the mind will react to that benefit and it will gain that benefit. Suggestion is very, very important. But get the physical and the metaphysical benefits in as you can. Talk about Christ if you are a Christ-centered teacher. Observation of the body focuses on the body and actually feeds the brain cells. So everything you can do to help people avoid the self-conscious is like the Patanjali limbs of yoga, the 12 limbs of yoga. In the end, the last metaphysical attainments leading to samadhi, which is complete union with the divine. We observe first, in drawing attention to the body, we observe the pratyahara. That is it's like the turtle pulling in the head and the feet. It's all going inwardly. So that's the first part. The second part is the dharana, which brings in pinpoint focus. Bringing us to the higher level of consciousness, or deeper level of consciousness, as it were. And the final, right before the absorption into deity, dhyana, which is when we let all of that work go, the drawing in, the pinpoint, and we simply go into the blurred eye thing, in which we are the movement, we are everything, we are the breath of Christ. The breath of Christ is us. So getting rid of the use is a very good thing. I don't expect it immediately, so just send me that first video that is on the syllabus and correct yourself where you find it, and I'll send back a video if necessary, or a commentary that draws attention to use you might not have thought of, or tics or whatever. So no more pronouns? No, you're going to use some pronouns every now and then, but we do want to avoid them as much as possible. In the final exam, it'll be important to show that you can teach a class without slipping into all of the U's or tics. But as you go, you're going to notice that they'll go away quickly, because it's just cool that way. It is wonderful. It helps. All right. So that is my first video to you, and I love you all very much. Bye.